to this week's episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Grab a seat at the table as Masters rowing coaches Marlene Royal and Rebecca Caro share their biggest secrets on how to unleash your hidden potential and plot a new course for real results on the water and off. Now, on to the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. I'm Rebecca Caro, and today we're going to be talking about how to row with a partner who is either taller or shorter than you, and what to do to adapt and adjust your rowing stroke so that you match and align in your stroke arcs. But first, it's the start of the month, and so I want to show you what we've got in the program this month. So we start off with two separate versions of training programs. The first one, which is showing on the screen now, is the May-June peak. And this is for people who have got a peak event, which is for 1K racing in those months. It also includes down the bottom here, a red coloured taper program. We've then got a second program, which is for people who are doing their peak race later on in the months, this year in July or August. Our technique module focuses on a particular drill that's really good for helping you maintain the power as you go through the stroke and to work out what happens if you lose power, particularly when you transition from one part of your body to the next. Corresponding with the two peak training programs, we've got strength programs that align with both of those two dates. And our peak performance is a video in which we talk about how to get to the start in racing, calm and ready to race, with a super guest who is Leslie Wright, who has a lot of very interesting insights about how to manage rough water, what to do in the marshalling area, and her particular favorite is Christine Wilson's rate progression warm-up. In the lifestyle module, we've got a detailed article about coachability, which helps you understand how to relate to a coach or someone in the boat who's giving you guidance, and the ways to make the most of the information they're giving you and the skills that you need in order to take on those sorts of advisories. And lastly, we have a bonus, which is another fun video about rowing, reaching into leisure. If you come into the program this month, we really hope that you're going to have a great experience. We know that a lot of masters use our programs for their summertime 1K racing and have had some great success finding themselves both fitter, but also more ready to race. Included in one of the free welcome gifts is a race profile plan. So if you don't have a race plan, go into the performance module. You'll find it's one of the reference guidelines, and it explains what the elements are that you need to build up to make your race plan. And it gives you a sample one to start with. So you've got a place to start. Obviously, from that, you can then adapt and move yourself forwards. Now let's talk about rowing with someone who's taller and shorter than yourself. Uniquely, until coastal rowing came along, Masters was the only part of our sport where mixed races take place. And naturally, that often means that you have someone who's not as tall as you. Even in elite rowing, where athletes are very, very tall, you will sometimes see an extremely tall person, perhaps in the middle of an 8. And when you look at them rowing, you will see that sometimes they don't get all the way out to full slide because their shins aren't vertical at the catch. There was a very tall man in the middle of the British 8 for a long time who always looked like he wasn't at full compression. But the key to rowing with someone who is different height from you is to worry less about their height or yours, but instead to focus on the arc of the oar through the water. What's important is that your blades are parallel and they go into the water together and come out of the water together. Now that's reasonably easy to achieve. We often get into the boat and we fix up And when you fix up, you adjust your foot stretcher so that your blades are parallel. And so frequently in the sweep rowing and also in the sculling, you'll have measured a distance behind the face of the work, behind the face of the gate, which may be 58 centimeters, 61, 63 centimeters, depending on the height of crew that you are. And you'll adjust so that the back wheel of your seat is on that mark. So that means that at the finish, everybody's blades are exactly parallel if your finish angle is the same as everyone else in the boat. Similarly, in the sculling, we adjust our foot stretchers so you'll have a gap between your hands of 1 to 1.5 fists widths. Now, that also is an adjustment to a finish angle. And this is a great place to start. But I was out rowing the other day and watching some members of my club, 2 men, one of whom is a lot taller than the other. And the taller man was in the stroke seat, the shorter man at bow. And I realized that their arcs were massively out of alignment. And so I want to talk today about the sorts of compromises that we might make if you're in that situation, and particularly mixed boats, obviously, this often comes about. Now, I believe that one of the best ways of getting your power aligned, and obviously your oar angles aligned, is to be in the water together at the catch. And so getting your catch angle the same as everybody else probably means that you're going to need to make some compromises in how you row. That is somewhat easier for the shorter person in some respects, because for them, they need to make sure they make a good body rock forwards so that you get forward reach off the finish, and that you finish this, you run up to the catch and finish with your shins vertical at your catch angle. Now, for the parallels then to be the same with the other person, they've got to work out exactly how far forward they should roll. And this is where you might want to do something like take a drinking straw or a cable tie and tape it to the saxboard, to the sides of the boat, so that it points upwards and is very, very close to brushing the shaft of the oar when that person is at the correct catch angle to match their partner. Now, I have a personal preference that I really like getting load on the front end of my stroke. And that came about after watching the Rigging for Masters webinar with Volker Nolte and Mike Purser and Mike Davenport, talking about oar adjustments and lengths and inboards for masters. So this is a personal preference, and I'm not going to suggest that you should definitely do it, but if you want to try it, I like to make sure that I align with my partner at the catch rather than at the finish. And so I am the taller person in my women's double. I'm the shorter person in my mixed doubles. And so what I do is we fix up to the catch and make sure that our blades are parallel. And when I'm rowing with the slightly shorter person, I tap my finish out a bit earlier. So I start to press the handle down when I'm coming past crossover in the sculling. I don't actually do any sweep mixed boats at the moment, so I can't give you an example from that. But I believe that by getting the angle arc right, you're more likely to optimize the boat speed for the physique of the people that you've got in the crew. With the crew member, the men's double that I was looking at from my own club, one of the things that I noticed was that neither of them was getting right out to the catch and getting a wide arm position so that their blades have a chance of going in the water at as acute an angle as possible at the catch. And I realized that this was because as they were rolling forwards, they were reaching forwards. So their handles and their bodies were all straining towards the stern of the boat and staying within the gunnels, within the sides of the boat. And we managed to make quite a good change with them by encouraging them to let their arms go wider rather than reaching towards the stern. And by going wider and sitting up a little bit, we found they could get quite a different arc and a different angle of placement at the catch. So a couple of things for you to think about with regards to ways to row with a taller or shorter partner. And ideally, blades in and out together isn't going to change. That's obviously just best practice and good, I suppose, ergonomics. But I hope that I've given you some ideas that you might want to try out for yourself and see if you can get more aligned with your partner. Now, before we wrap, I want to speak to everybody who's in Australia. You guys have got your National Masters Championships in Tasmania, which is obviously in the south of the country, and it's likely to be cooler weather than anybody else who isn't used to rowing in Tasmania. Now, I've rowed at Lake Barrington myself, and we had 2 very nice rowing days and then a day of really sharp, cold winds that were actually headwinds going straight down the length of the course. If anyone's not been to Lake Barrington, I believe it's 1 kilometre down into a river valley. It's a hydroelectric dam lake. And when you get there, you get to the top of the hill and you and the rowing trailers snake down these S-bend roads for a very long way before you get down to the lake. The lake itself is long and narrow and it's a peaty brown colour, so you can't actually see the bottom of your oars when you put them into the water. And I went for a long exploratory row the first day I was there to familiarise myself with the boat and also with the lake. And it was a really beautiful wooded valley. So it's a great rowing course, but it can be cold. They've got pontoons that you launch from, but my recollection of that regatta was that some people also beach launched because it was a little bit quicker. It's got a really nice sandy beach, so it's easy to wade out. And you might want to get some waterproof socks, such as the ones that we obviously sell from Faster Masters. We sell them via a company called Revolution Rowing. So if you go to revolutionrowing.com and look at their collections for clothing and gifts, and you'll find waterproof rowing socks by Faster Masters Rowing. Now, those are available for sale in 2 sizes, a women's size and a man's size. And they're very attractive with these lovely picture of little mini sculling boats on the socks. They've got black toes and black heels. And if you're in Australia and you would like a pair in time for going to Tasmania, I can post them from here in New Zealand to you. You need to get in touch with me at fastermastersrowing.com very soon. Give me your address. The price, including shipping to Australia, is 95 Australian dollars. So get in touch now, quick as you can, and I'll get them to you in time for your trip south. I hope that's been useful for all of you, and very much look forward to seeing you all next time.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your rowing friends about the show. And if you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.